who's really winning this war between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? The powerful smear machine is still going, but what's really crazy is this new person she hired. We got a lot to discuss. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. So glad to be back with Zach Peter. Welcome back to the show, dude. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Well, better than Blake Lively, at least.
Yeah, well, I was to say I'm burnt out. Honestly, that's why we pre-taped this. That's why I'm on vacation this week. So I appreciate you. I'm sure you've been there where it's just like sometimes the YouTube machine, if you do it too much, you got to take a break. You know what I mean? Everybody take a mental break when you need it. I sensed I needed it after last week's LA trip and everything else. So very grateful you're here. I thought let's just have a conversation. The fans seem to like when we talk, and I wanted to sort of do a state of the case of where things go. I want to bring up this thing is you didn't know about Nick Shapiro and his sort of dirty little secrets. I want to go there, but before we do, you had a complaint. This is now again we taped this last week, guys. So apologies, it's a little dated, but you're complaining because you're annoyed that people are saying Blake won with this new protective order. Go ahead, rant away, and I will respond.
I mean, I'm more just upset with the fact that the press is still continuing to defend her. Like if something remotely negative comes out about Baldoni, that's the headline about Baldoni loses. And I've seen a couple of headlines saying that Baldoni lost in court. And now they're saying Blake has a victory in court and she's winning. And I'm like, is she though? Because like she didn't really win anything. She like technically got her attorney's eyes only protective order, but it was really just for the meek arguments that her attorneys gave in court of being like, oh, well, she needs this because of, her medical records and because of her security. And so the judge is like, okay, fine. You get it for your medical records and you get it for your security, which Brian Friedman made very clear. We're not interested in those things, but sure. And so I don't love how the media, very similar. I know we have the same love and adoration for Meghan Markle in the same way everybody's like ranting about her season 2 pickup, which is also not a real season 2 renewal because she was always guaranteed a season 2 going into the contract.
It's all marketing, Zach. You know this.
It is. And that's why it's so annoying when they try to come at us and be like, you guys are all about clickbait and you're just putting out information to get clicks and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, you guys are honestly just mad and jealous that you're losing the general public and they would rather trust us than continue to trust you. That's the reality. You have your fixed salary and you're living in your studio apartment and you're pissed about it.
Look, it's all about the smear machine. Let's keep it real. And what I like about what you always cover, you're similar to me. You keep it honest. You'll go there if you don't need to go there. You'll call it out if you don't want to call it out. But the reality is both sides are smearing a little bit still. But I would say it's defense. I don't think it's wrong. That's my big problem here. It's like, even if the PR machine that Justin used as what she's calling retaliation, I've really broken my head. Like, I don't care about it. Like, he's allowed to defend himself in the PR of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, did some of the things sound bad when it's taken out of context? Yes. Could it get them in trouble? It might. Honestly, let's keep it honest, right? But does that mean they actually did something nefarious or illegal or wrong? Right. I don't believe they did. Even if they planted some seeds. If they were putting out the truth, I got no beef with that. That's not the problem, right? That's my issue. So what's so frustrating is Blake constantly doing that. I will say, though, it did feel like a slight win for Blake, but I wouldn't say it was a loss for Justin, which some are out there saying, right? Because, Friedman was clearly asking for something. They didn't get it. The burden's now going to be on them more. And hopefully Blake is honest, but I don't trust her. She's going to stamp that attorney's eyes on everything, claiming everything's private. Are you worried?
The only one, because there were 4 different markers that the judge indicated. It was security, privacy, trade secrets, and then the last one was more about privacy with third parties. I think that's the one she's probably going to use and abuse the most. And that's the only one that I'll give to her as a slight win, right? Because she's going to try to say, oh, well, you can't gain access to, the text messages with Taylor Swift, or, it's mainly going to come towards her other friends, Bradley Cooper, Hugh Jackman, Taylor Swift. I mean, she may even try to use this to protect Jenny Slate. If, Jenny Slate they try to drag Jenny Slate into this at some point. So we know that she's going to use and abuse that the most, which is the only real win that she has. But I don't think, if you have to stoop to these types of legal tactics to delay the process or try to, muddy the waters a bit, that tells me you don't have a strong case.
Well, yeah, I agree. We're on the same page on all this, but this CIA alum that they brought up, I want to go there a little bit and talk about it with you because Yeah, there's been a lot of questions about who this Nick Shapiro guy is. Was involved in the Angelina Jolie divorce for a bit and a lot of things, which is its own drama, Zach. I don't know how much you've covered that one,
Yeah.
but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. And the way she went about it was insane.
Yeah.
Not saying I'm completely team Brad Pitt, but he never went as aggressive as she did. And as long as it's been, and for the sake of the kids, I just feel like what she has done has not helped anybody. It's been so petty. But anyway, he's been involved in a lot of things, but this was one Kim brought out to my attention. I know some of the fans, you may already know this, but did you know about this Airbnb thing? Have you?
No.
I guess I'm going to fill you in. So Airbnb's dirty little secret. Did you know that they spend a tune of $50 million annually to cover up crimes, R's, murders, blood, like all of it? This is crazy. And guess who it was run by, Zach? Guess who ran this? What do they call it? The Black Ops. They called it the former black box employees who dealt with victimized Airbnb users. The mandate, they tell Bloomberg, is to keep such reports from ever hitting the news, let alone the courts. At least the company's $90 billion market value, says the word left them traumatized. I had situations where I had to get off the phone and cry, said one ex-employee. That's all you can do. Take the case of the Australian woman, 29, staying in a highly popular Airbnb in New York, first floor apartment on West 37th. She and her friends arrived after New Year's. They picked up their keys, went to a bodega, no questions asked, no IDs. After the ball dropped, she went back to her friends. Hiding inside the room in the dark was a man with a knife. He R'd her. When the police arrested longer, guess what they found on him? A set of the same keys at the Airbnb rental. How he got them remains unclear, but as any New Yorker knows, all it takes is a trip to the hardware store, $2 to copy any key. Sure, Airbnb could have mandated or even encouraged most hosts to have digital keypads to change the code after each rental for everyone's safety and security, but profit margins, you see. The morning after, the 29-year-old woman that was R'd, Airbnb's crisis manager, Nick Shapiro, once deputy chief of staff at CAA, got the call. Shapiro told Bloomberg that the learning of the R brought back feelings of confronting truly horrific matters at Langley. Within hours, Airbnb moved this young woman to a hotel, flew her to... Anyway, long story short, they paid her $7 million in exchange for silence. And that's what this whole company does. Apparently, yeah, Airbnb has no one wants to talk about this. I don't even know if they'll let me put this out, Zach, but this is like a major secret problem that has been dust away forever. And of course, who was hiding up the cover up? It was Nick Shapiro. So when you see these sort of conspiracy things come forward and you realize the dirty secrets and things that he's been covering up, does it surprise you that Blake Lively brought this type of guy in to do it?
I don't think this looks good for her. Like, I know she thinks that, like, yeah, she brought in the big guns, but now that, like, he's been exposed, we now see the Achilles heel here. We see that he is this guy that's tied to all these different controversies and cover-ups, that to me, that doesn't help her case because it just makes it look like she has something guilty. When his past is covering up crimes for Airbnb, then that tells me that you don't need a cleanup guy if there's not a mess to clean up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not looking good.
It's weird. It's a weird company to be in. As I was going through this other article in the BBC, sort of talking about all of these and to be fair, Justin's team members are in there as well. But deliberately planning disinformation or twisted versions of the truth in certain sections of social media. The aim is the halfway point of influence where they can get a bit of traction, but so that it's not so obvious. You wouldn't hire a Kardashian to do it. Exactly. Undetected smear campaigns have always been a thing. So look, that's my thing. Like, it's clear to me Blake Lively is doing it right now to Justin. Like, it's so clear. And maybe, Justin's team, whether Justin really understood the extent of what was really going down, maybe they did put out some honest articles about Blake. Do you think that's retaliation? And do you think Blake is doing it too? And that makes her pretty hypocritical to accuse him of it.
I think there's and I spotted the smear campaign from Blake's side from the very beginning. And we're allowed to use that term right now because the New York Times said that when they used it, it was just their opinion and they have, their privileges that protect them. And thanks to Heather McDonald and Juicy Scoop. Yeah. And thanks to Heather McDonald's lawsuit with Juicy Scoop against with Shannon Bedore and Tamara Judge, we podcasts have now been deemed as members of the media. But so I think with Blake Lively, every time I want to give her a sliver, like I want to believe her. I just revert back to the fact that like she is playing a very dirty media game. The press is very clearly on her side, as we've seen, and it's very obvious that people in Hollywood wanted to protect her at first until they realized it was bad business for them. But like in order for her to prove that Justin Baldoni had this retaliation complaint against her, like her argument is three pieces. Her entire case is built on the harassment, which is then linked to the smear campaign, which is then linked to the retaliation. And so, in order to have the campaign and to prove her case, she has to prove that he specifically retaliated against her for speaking out about the harassment, which she didn't do until the CRD complaint, which again is such a fatal flaw in her case. Like, there was no public mention of this alleged harassment that she's now claiming. So how did he retaliate against you? Like, what was the retaliation against? What was it for? Because if she never outed this, if she never talked about this, then that doesn't make sense.
1,000%. It's just like Paul Feig coming out the other day saying, "Oh, she's not afraid to go on the red carpet." I'm like, well, that goes against her whole complaint that she can't leave her house. It's well, yeah. See,
people like Paul Feig and Ari Emanuel, like they think that they're coming out and defending her and like really, having a solid argument for her, but all they're doing is disputing the claims that she's made in court.
1,000%. So who's winning at this point still? Do you feel it's still Justin, or do you feel like Blake's slowly, annoyingly getting some headway?
I mean, I think overwhelmingly Baldoni is still winning. We still have the media PR tricks, the smoke and mirrors, where they're trying to present this guise that she's ahead and she's winning and there's a smoking gun that's coming. But like, I'm still waiting for her to drop the smoking gun. As of right now, I think Baldoni has a stronger case. I think he has the best evidence going into this should we get to trial. And I think the further we go, the more it digs into her side of the court here. And I don't think the more we dig, the more it's going to help her.
Yeah, and I think as secrets keep coming out and getting revealed, it's only going to expose Blake more than Justin. I feel like all this stuff's come out on Justin. And the fact that she had to resort to this guy who's this bad to go cover up murders at Airbnb.
But see, the reason...
It's a bad look.
But the reason Nick Shapiro can be so... good at what he's done is because he would operate in the shadows, right? Like we didn't really know him. We didn't, or at least like when it comes to stuff with like Airbnb or some of the other clients that he's had in the past, nobody was really aware that there was some sort of cover up going on. Nobody was aware that he was trying to keep things in the closet, keep the skeletons from getting out. Whereas now there's so much attention and so many eyeballs that like, how do you not, like, how does he even effectively do his job considering he's under a microscope? You can only succeed when you're still in the shadows.
Agreed. And I want to rant with you about Meghan Markle next. So guys, stick around. Join us over on Palace for part 2 of my conversation with Zach. We're going to talk about Meghan Markle. People get annoyed when I do it here, but I got a whole channel where I devote it. So tune on over there. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already to this channel, to that channel, and Zach's channel. Hit the bell alert so you get those notifications. Smash that like button as well. Leave your comments down below, and don't forget to support Just Plain Zach over on YouTube. Always a pleasure. We'll be right back with more over on Palace to talk more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful week.